What's up, nerds? This is Bibz, and today we're going to talk about kick drums and how to work with one-shot samples. I want you to know what to listen for when you go through your library. I want you to be able to pick any sample and make it truly yours. But before that, you need to really understand what are the different parts within a kick drum and what role do they play. That's what this episode is about. I'm going to share with you the different methods that I use to reverse engineer the samples, how I break them down, clean them up, and then bring them back to life with a unique set of techniques that will allow you to shape these kicks precisely so they can sit beautifully to your tracks. How does that sound? Alright, let's start with what's to me the most important part of the kick drum, and that is the transient. These first couple of milliseconds can make or break your track, so pay very close attention to them and give them some love. To demonstrate this, let me play what we have here. And I'm going to apply a little bit of a fade in, and you're going to see how much of a difference it makes. See, I didn't do much, and yet it sounds completely different. It has completely lost its bite. So the first thing that I do when I import a kick drum is playing with the sample start. That's a great way to get rid of that initial click that's usually too loud, or to just soften your kick. Another way is to use a volume envelope. That's very practical to balance the transient and the rest of the kick. If I'm still not happy with the transient, I would completely get rid of it, like so, with a fade in, and below I would have a duplicate, and I would apply a volume envelope that's opposite of the one above. So instead of getting rid of the transient, I would only let the transient pass through, and I would load different kick drums. And of course, a transient on its own doesn't sound like much, so I strongly recommend to play both kicks together so you can listen in context. Let's talk about the body, and to be honest, there's not that much to it. It's a simple sine wave, no big secrets here. So, I have a transient on this track, and below, I have a dedicated channel for the body, just for the low frequencies, and I have bounced a sine wave from a spire, I believe, not that it matters. And I do my usual volume envelope. And I like to have a little bit of a pitch down towards the end to give it some movement. So that's the quick and easy way. If you are feeling adventurous, you can use one of these guys, a kick generator. So as opposed to playing back an audio sample, you're actually generating the sine wave with a synth. So you're probably less likely to get glitches and artifacts when you use this, but it's also more CPU demanding and a little harder to program. You probably heard before that your kick should be in mono, and that's not entirely true. You definitely want the low frequency range to be quite narrow when it comes to the stereo spread, but you can be more loose with the mid and high frequencies. And most of the kicks you're going to encounter in your libraries have some sort of stereo content, like this one, for example. Same one as earlier. And the problem with working with sample library kick drums is that the stereo content is printed into audio, so you don't have a lot of control over it. If we want to make something really precise, we're going to need to make it mono first and then apply our own stereo so we have full flexibility. So step one, let's make this kick mono. And you're going to need to find yourself a stereo to mono plugin that allows you to pick either left or right channel. That's very important because most of these plugins merge the left and right together into one, and that leads to phase cancellation. So I'm using here Stereoscope from Melda production. Once we got that in mono, I have an aux return below with a reverb as an insert, and I'm only using the early reflections. We don't want to go full-blown reverb. It's a kick, let's not forget, so we want to keep things tight. That's the early reflection by itself. And now I'm going to bring back the mono. And the advantage of having a separate track is that you can have a EQ after your reverb, your early reflection rather, and you can really pick and choose which, how much of a stereo you want for each frequency band. Last but not least, layering. That's where we're gonna add some grit to this kick and try to make it a little bit more special. So first, I like to clean the current kick so we can work off a clean slate. So I have a filter envelope and I'm not touching the transient. All right, sounds too clinical right now, so let's dirty it up. I have a layer underneath, and I have a multi-band distortion inserted into that duplicate to really jack up the frequency so I can get a better idea of what it will sound like, but then afterward I'm gonna probably tone it down. I'm gonna add kick drums from a hip-hop folder. Alright, this one is okay, just for demonstration purpose anyway. I'm gonna have a little bit of a fade in because we don't want to affect the transient from the other kick. And also, I think I already have it, yes, I have a high pass because we don't want to mess with the low frequencies either. Alright, I'm out.